What's up, guys? It's good to be back. We're doing another installation video on the Elantra N. Today we are installing Boomba Racing's throttle body and intake spacer kit. So this is the throttle body and intake manifold spacer kit by Boomba Racing. They supplied this with me a little while ago. Big shout out to them. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I love working with you guys. These products are super high quality CNC machined billet aluminum. It's the same material that's actually made from their blow off valve, and I know a couple of their products as well. Also comes with all the hardware that you would need to replace all the stock stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot. I know a lot of people have asked about this and been wondering, is this going to be good for the Elantra N? Well, they've proven on the dyno that this will actually give you gains, horsepower and torque wise. Also, this can help with your gas mileage. It's going to help smooth the airflow into the engine. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to install it. I'm probably not going to talk much during the install, so just so you guys can watch. I may put some subtitles over the bottom, so that way if you guys need any assistance while you're installing this on yours, hopefully that'll guide you along the way. And then after we're done installing it, we'll go ahead and take the Elantra N for a spin and see if we notice any difference. Also, real quick, before I get started, I just want to show you, I did end up printing the instructions. You can find this right on the description for this product on their website. It also tells you here all the tools that you'll need. I don't think we're going to end up needing the Dremel rotary tool, and I'll explain that towards the end, but that's everything you need. These are all the instructions for both the throttle body and the intake manifold spacer kit, and I'm definitely going to be using them. So now let's get to work.
Yeah.
All right, so brief intermission here, guys. We got the throttle body spacer installed. Next part is going to be removing some more vacuum lines, some more electrical connections, which we'll get to that here in a second. There is a part, I think it's step 15. If you look at the guide, towards the bottom, probably like right there underneath, there's two bolts that go up and hold the intake manifold in. It's another bracket. It actually says to take the shield off from down below and get the bolts from underneath. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get my hand in there to get those two bolts. I'm just honestly too lazy right now to get the car up in the air and take the shield off. So I'll be able to manage. I'm going to get those bolts off. So if you're watching this, then I definitely got that done from above the vehicle. And so it's definitely possible if you have small hands like me. But otherwise, you could still lift the vehicle up, take the shield down, and then you'd be able to access those bolts probably a lot easier. But yeah, I'm just going to be lazy and do it that way. So I just want to let you guys know that's how I'm going to get those two bolts off. And I also want to let you know, if you're doing just the throttle body spacer, at this point you would just put everything back together and you'd be good to go. I also wanted to mention that for the throttle body itself, you don't technically have to take it all the way off. I took it off completely so I could wipe everything down. There was a lot of oil And I just used some throttle body cleaner to clean that all up. And there's another connector right there. So you have to connect that back again as well. And I did take it off so that way I could take it completely out of the car and get it all cleaned up. We're gonna get some more stuff taken apart here in a second, and we're gonna start doing the intake manifold spacer. So yeah, let's get back to it.
Invincible.
All right, guys, so here we are a couple days later. That was Friday night when I actually installed everything on the car, and long story short, I dropped a socket in the intercooler piping, and it took me probably 2 to 3 hours to find it because I didn't know where it went, and dumb me didn't look at the footage initially so that way I could figure out where it dropped. As you can see right here, so I ended up finding it, finished everything up that night, and then yesterday, which was Saturday, I had to work, and it wasn't the greatest weather, so I decided not to take the car out to do any driving then. So here we are on Sunday, and getting a little bit of drive time on it right now. Traffic's kind of heavy on the highway right now, so I'm not going to be pushing it, at least quite yet. I also need the car to warm up a little bit. But before we get into any of like my reactions or my thoughts about the product, the first thing I want to say is that if you're not mechanically comfortable or mechanically inclined and you don't feel that you could do this yourself, don't do it yourself. I highly recommend getting a friend to help you that maybe is more knowledgeable about taking more engine parts apart and replacing them, or take it to a shop and have them do it for you. This is not something you want to mess up, and you want to make sure everything is done correctly. I have confidence in myself to do it. I've been working on cars for a while, and it wasn't difficult per se in my opinion, but it definitely took a little bit of time. It's hard to really say how long it would have taken if I wasn't filming. For those of you that do film or filmed in the past, when you're doing something, you know that it takes a lot longer because you're trying to get different angles and trying to help people see what you're working on, but it also limits where you're working on the car. So I had the camera in the way, the light in the way, but overall it wasn't too bad. If I had to give a guesstimate on how long it would have taken me without the camera, I could have done it in less than 2 hours, and give or take that a little bit. I'm not really 100% sure, but it wasn't too bad. I enjoy it. I love working on cars in general, so anytime I have the opportunity to do something like this, I'll take it. I love doing this type of stuff. This may just be me, but just driving around casually, I feel like the exhaust pops are a little bit more noticeable, and that's without me even getting on it. Just when you like let go of the gas, it pops quite a bit. Let's get on a little bit right here. Okay. Now I'm going to say this isn't something that is meant to blow your mind and give you an extra 40, 50 horsepower. It's subtle. It's definitely subtle, but it may be something that be a little bit better once you have full bolt on and you're tuned, but it's noticeable. It's meant to increase throttle response, which I can see that. It's also meant to help with your gas mileage, but that's not going to be me because, I baby this thing, of course, right? Okay, I see it. Now, another thing I'll say about the installation process is I did not go underneath the vehicle at all until I had to tear the car apart for about 2 to 3 hours to get that socket out. If you don't have small hands like myself, you're gonna get tore up. Well, I should say I do have small hands and I still got tore up. I'll show you a bruise on my left arm that I got just from putting my arm down all the way into the engine bay when I was trying to get to some of the bolts without having to go underneath the vehicle. But even if you don't go underneath, or I should say, even if you do go underneath the vehicle, there's still a lot of things you have to reach in between, like the radiator housing and the intake manifold, that there's not a lot of room. So you're going to get cut up, in my opinion. You're going to get scratches, you're going to get bruises. It might be a scary thought of, taking apart the intake manifold, but it's really not that bad. I can feel it when you get on the gas. I haven't had much of an opportunity yet, but when you get on the gas, it does feel like the RPMs are going up a little bit faster. Also, in the higher RPMs, it almost feels like it's building boost and holding it a little bit better in the higher RPMs. We still got to do a little bit more driving. We'll see. I know I don't do a lot of videos with me driving and showing the dash, but we're going to do a little bit of that today. I want to be able to have you guys have the opportunity to kind of see the RPMs and see the throttle and all that type of stuff. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. I don't know how well it's going to go because I don't do this too often, but at least you guys can see as I'm taking this for a drive. And if you can see any noticeable difference, it's going to be unlikely because, again, this is not going to be a huge performance mod. This is going to give you, probably maximum 10 horsepower, but we're warmed up. Well, let's see. The roads are terrible around here, so it's an uphill ramp, so take that as you will. say I probably didn't feel that much of a difference there just because we were going uphill, but we're gonna have some more straightaways here that we could give it a shot on. I'm gonna start at 55. All right, here we go. Okay, I mean, I don't think there's gonna be as much of a difference on the top end. I could be wrong. I mean, I feel it initially once you get on it. I feel like it does go a little bit quicker, but the overall run didn't feel that much different to me. Another thing I keep hearing about is warranty. People asking me, I thought I wanted to keep my warranty, and then I keep doing this type of stuff. Warranties are, it's a tough subject to talk about because it's going to depend on your dealer. It's also going to depend on what you're doing to the car. But I'm one of those believers that will say it'll only void your warranty if they could prove that what you did to your car caused the issue. Do these things at your own risk, and even the manufacturers that make these parts are going to tell you they're not responsible for any issues, but they're also proven, to test to give you better horsepower, better gas mileage, better airflow to the engine, and I trust Boomba. I think their parts are phenomenal. I think their parts are going to be great in the long run. Let's do a little bit more driving so that way you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, that felt freaking amazing. I almost got some wheel hop there, and I don't get wheel hop anymore. We'll take that as a win right there. That felt good, guys. Not too bad, guys. Time to go home. All right, so final thoughts. I know you guys want to hear what I think about it. There's not many, if anybody else, that has done this to their Elantra N yet, and I feel that it's worth it, and it'll be more worth it if you're full bolt-on and maybe got tuned. This is just another piece of the puzzle that's going to help reach the maximum horsepower that you possibly can without going overboard for the Elantra N or the Veloster N. It's not that difficult to do. I have a couple cuts and bruises. Oh my God, my arm here is completely bruised. Hopefully you can see that. That is from sticking my arm down in the engine bay in between the intake manifold and the radiator housing. Another thing to consider with that, when I first was taking everything apart, there was not a lot of room. I was able to get everything off from above the vehicle, and I put everything back on from above the vehicle. However, when you put the spacer on, you also got to figure that you're moving the intake manifold from here to here, which also limits the space between the radiator housing and the intake manifold. So putting everything back on, there was less space than there was when you took it off, which is, I know that's common sense, but just take that into consideration when you're taking everything off. And if you don't have a lot of room and you can't fit your arm or your hands down in there, it's going to be even more difficult when you're putting everything back on. But overall, I love the product. It's a high quality material. I love Boomba Racing. Their products are awesome. I got a couple other products on my car now. Hopefully more in the future, depending on what they come out with. Don't forget, you could use my code NTENS5 to get 5% off on your order if you want to pick this setup, or even if you just want to do the throttle body spacer. If you want to do something that's a little bit simpler and easier to do, and you don't want to rip apart the whole intake manifold, go for that. It's a little part, but the little things matter the more you do. I wish I could have got a little bit more drive time on it, but I'll give you guys more feedback and opinion as time goes on, as I have more drive time with the vehicle and see how it truly feels. But again, I feel like there is definitely an increase in throttle response. That's the biggest thing I noticed, especially from a dig. When you're on the highway, I don't feel it as much, except maybe a little bit in the higher RPMs. I feel like it might be holding the boost a little bit better. Again, as I said, as time goes on, I'll give you guys more feedback, but this is going to take a while to edit this video, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Please leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.